Hello my fellow weirdos, my name is Marie McWilliams. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video I'm going to be doing the end of the decade book tag because we are back into the 20s, baby. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As I said before, today I am doing the end of the decade book tag and guys, I can't believe it. It is the end of another year and it is the end of another decade and indeed the end of an era. So with that in mind, I had a little look around to see if there were any decade tags and discovered one by the very lovely Brews and Reviews. She created that recently, so I will link her video down below so that you can check it out. It's very cool. She has split the decade into three sections: 2010 to 2013, 2014 to 2016, and 2017 to 2019. You answer sort of 4 questions about those 3 particular periods, and then there's a couple of questions that are kind of overarching. So yeah, I'm going to try my best with this one. I can't remember what I ate for dinner a week ago, so trying to remember what I read 10 years ago, maybe a bit of a struggle, but I'm going to try my very best for you guys. If you haven't been tagged in this particular video, I think given the magnitude of it ending a decade, go ahead, do it, consider yourself tagged, guys, because yeah, we're into the 20s again. So weird to say that. Okay, so we're first of all going to discuss 2010 to 2013. I can't believe that when we say 2010, we were talking 10 years ago. Holy crap, I'm old. How much did you read? I didn't read as much at that particular period because I had just graduated out of university and I had spent so much time reading textbooks and essays and other things that I kind of just wanted a break from reading in general, and I started a new job and yeah. So I probably didn't read as much then as I do now. I remember going through a bit of a phase with reading the classics. I think I don't know, I felt all grown up getting my first proper career job, and I started reading the books that I kind of always planned to read eventually that were on my bucket list. So I read a bunch of the classics at that particular period, but not a huge amount of reading in general over that period of time. What genre did you read the most? As I said, it would have been the classics. I had a bit of a Bronte phase at that particular time, so I read Wuthering Heights, Jane Eyre, that kind of thing. What were your favourite books and authors? I keep answering the questions before I even get to them, guys. The Bronte sisters. I love Gothic literature and they just epitomise that wonderful Gothic romance, the moors, the ghosts, the big mansions, and oh, love it. Is there a book you wish you'd read during this time period? Probably Little Women. I never got around to reading Little Women and there's a new adaptation out. It looks fantastic and I'm never gonna read the book in time to see that movie, so I really wish I had have read that back in the day. It's a classic that for some reason I just kind of skipped over. Do you have any regrets about your reading during this time period? I will always regret not reading more. No matter what, I wish I could read more, whether it's laziness or like lack of motivation or lack of time in general, which is more so today. I'm always going to regret not reading as much as I did. Okay, so on to the next period of time. We're on to 2014 to 2016. How much did you read? Again, not as much as I do in the past a few years and recently. What genre did you read? At that particular time, I tended to read things that had kind of become popular. I read based on what I saw in the media, what other people recommended, rather than seeking out kind of my own particular genres or topics that I wanted to follow myself. So I would have read, like, you know, The Hunger Games and The Help and things like that, books that were quite big and were being adapted into movies and that kind of thing. What were your favourite books and authors? You know, I can't even think what would have been my favourite at the time. I think because I was just kind of going with trends, none in particular stand out in my mind. Which just goes to show you should just read what you feel like reading rather than reading what other people say you should read. Is there a book you wish you'd read during this time period? Not really. So let me see. I would have been... I'm not going to say my age. You don't need to know that, okay? A lady never tells and a gentleman never asks. No, I'm just gonna say the same answer again. Do you have any regrets about your reading during this period? I'm just gonna say the same again. I wish I'd read more. I wish I'd read more, more, more. Even if it was trash, I wish I had read more. You can never read enough, people. Motto. There's the lesson learned there. 2017 to 2019. How much did you read? A lot more than I did in the years previous. That is when that's when I started to struggle with postnatal depression, and during that period I kind of became more introverted. And it's when I sort of rediscovered reading and writing. It's when I started my book blog. It's when I started my Bookstagram. So I started reading a lot more. What genre did you read the most? Horror, crime, anything dark, really. I think because it was a dark period in my life, I was kind of attracted to that. I remember when the depression was particularly bad, the postnatal depression, the only thing that I watched was horror movies, because it was like the only thing that kind of sparked any sort of emotion in me, if that makes sense. So I definitely rediscovered my love of horror during that particular phase. What were your favourite books and authors? I'm going to go with Stephen King. I've read so many of his books in recent years that I had always planned on reading and never really got around to, and I'm so glad that I did. My favourite of his would be hard to pick, but I think I'm going to go for Needful Things. I really enjoyed that book. It was one of the first I had picked up of Stephen King's in a really long time. And yeah, I just loved the whole vibe of that book. It's one that, as well, that people don't talk about as much. So if you haven't read that particular Stephen King and you like his other books, I recommend it. Is there a book you wish you'd read during this time period? Well, The Outsider, because an adaptation's coming out soon, and it would have been handy if I had already read it. But now I'm going to have to try and quickly read it before the adaptation comes out. Do you have any regrets about your reading during this time period? Same answer as before. I wish I'd read more, but with these recent years, having a child as well as a full-time job, that definitely became more of a time constraint issue. It is really hard to find the time to read when you're trying to juggle all those things. Okay, so as well as splitting those three sections of time, as I said, it's two sort of overarching questions. So when did you find Booktube, and did it change your reading habits? So I am very new to Booktube, guys. You'll see there's not that many videos on my channel. I've only been here for a couple of months, and it didn't really change my reading habit. No, I had already been reading a lot more because of Bookstagram, which I joined a few years ago, and 3 years ago I joined. I'm actually coming up on my 3-year anniversary soon, in the spring here. So yeah, I had already kind of started reading a lot more anyway and reviewing more, so no habit change there. How do you think your reading has changed over the last decade? I have read a lot more. I've been reading more. I have been reading more based on what I want to read rather than what other people say I should read. I tried, when I joined Bookstagram again, to kind of get into the books that everybody else was discussing, which was mostly fantasy and young adult. And whilst I have found some books in that particular bracket that I enjoyed, the Winter Night trilogy being an example, which I recently did a video of as well. I'll put the link above because I can't recommend that trilogy enough. But mainly I tend to just really gravitate towards very dark books. I prefer it that way, and I've come to the conclusion now where I'm just going to read what I want to read. I'm not going to read what is the most popular. I'm not going to read what is the one that is being bookstagrammed the most, which is photoed the most, which is on Booktube the most, what's all over the media, because that isn't necessarily what I am going to enjoy. I have learned to just pick something that gets my, gets those goosebumps going, gets you go, ooh, definitely need to read that. I don't know what that noise is. Ooh. That's my internal noise I make when I see a book I like. Ooh. Sorry. Yeah. So weird. But that's it, guys. That's my end of the decade book tag. I am going to tag Merc of Harpies in the Tree. I tag her a lot because her book tastes are very similar to mine, and she always has the best recommendations. So I'm guessing that if we look back over her past decade, she has some really great little gems in there. I'm also going to tag, let me see, I'll tag Michael Knipp. I tagged him recently for the Christmas tag, which he did, so we'll give him the end of the decade tag. And I'm also going to tag Book Invasion. So guys, I'll put their links down below. You have, well, I mean, a brand new decade, so you've got plenty of time to do the book video, get on it. As I said before, guys, if you could please subscribe to my channel, I would really, really appreciate it. Especially given the recent YouTube purge. It feels really deep, cutting deep to lose a few followers when you don't have that many to begin with. Thanks for that, YouTube. But yeah, if you could please subscribe, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much, and hit the bell button. We want those notifications, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I'd really like to hear from you guys and get feedback about what particular videos you like to see and what are your favorites. So let me know in the comments down below, and I hope that the next decade is just as much fun as the last. Yay!